All right. Peace and blessings, Southhold. Honorable One, the Success Scholar. Keisha me here. Thank you for tuning in, listening in. Man, yeah. Check this. I wanted to do this piece and want to discuss the Charlottesville issue, the Klan, neo Nazis, and what the conscious community is doing. It's revealing and telling just the true state of consciousness and awareness. And let me just make and raise some awareness in terms of where this country is. Several years ago, uh, I read a book called, what is it? The Great American Dilemma, I believe, uh, is the title of the book. But in the book, it really discusses the age-old problem, but what should happen or what is the solution to the Negro problem. Another particular book that I know very vividly, uh, outside of the American Dilemma, is Who Needs the Negro? And that's a book that was read some years ago. And it's a very interesting analysis in terms of history and sociology as well as economics and America's dual policy that it has to have at home as well as abroad. But as I'm looking around, I did not necessarily jump out and offer my opinion, but I see individuals out here who really do not have a solid background or analysis to bring out some factual understandings of how history tends to repeat itself, but also the understanding that if you do not have any value in society, people will disrespect you, right? And if you are weak, if you are a weak person or you uh, do not have any character, culture, uh, or self respect or dignity, people will disrespect who you are. And so, what we have right now, for instance, is a society that does not necessarily value the presence of persons of African descent. And so, what has to happen from that, right? What has to transpire is a growth and development and a awareness of the times that we live in. Now, what I wanted to mention, for instance, is that this neo-Nazi plan, however you want to refer to it, uh, it's been something that's ongoing for quite some time. I mean, I've over time, over the past few years, I've read several books. Carol Swain wrote a book, The Rise of White Nationalism. Um, Ron, not Ron Walters, but it may be Ronald Walters, but White Nationalism, Conservative Policy, I believe. And he's deceased. Ronald Walters wrote another book on that. But Carol Swain wrote The Rise of White Nationalism in uh, in America. So I think these are some of the key analysis that we have to look at, and we can see it in, for instance, the public policy that's being manifested. And this is where individuals who claim they are conscious, who claim they represent, a voice, should be articulating a clear imperative in having the priorities. And why do I say this? Let's look at the so-called, conscious community right now, where many, unfortunately, you know, are really setting us up for failure. Many of them, for instance, are distracting our community with issues and activities that are not preparing us for the future. You got some people, some, conscious, so-called conscious people, having these reunions, and they having more of a fashion shows, you know, making jewelry, trying to look pretty, you know. I mean, having debates between Islam and Moors, or the Kemet and Moors, or Kemet and Hebrew, and these people, they talking about taking back America and all this other stuff. And you sitting here trying to define some ancient prehistoric culture, trying to bring it up to make it relevant. And what's real is that, you know, I mean, for real, both actually, if there's not these defense mechanism in place, many of these individuals, actually, they're going to be exterminated. And that's what many, in fact, have called for historically, and it's will. And this is where the doctor, Frances Cress Welsing comes in with her analysis. Unfortunately for me, we had Dr. Wilson in Baltimore several years ago. Over 350 people were present for that. Um, so yeah, so I just take a look at that. People playing, having fashion shows, and then we come down here to the DMV, for instance, and we have individuals distracting us even more, talking about having hour-long debates and discussion about Kaepernick. I mean, you got people rioting, trying to start a revolution, and you talking about football. You giving a lecture and dumbing our people down and wasting our people's time talking about Kaepernick and football, and having lectures around that. These are so-called conscious people. So-called conscious people. And then others, what I see, I don't know if I wasn't there on the ground in Charlottesville, but I didn't see anybody necessarily, they weren't targeting gay people right there, but you have some folks that they, so ideological within their, positions, that they can't unite necessarily with a revolutionary group, for instance, for self-defense. And like the Uhurus, who I received my political education from, now I may not necessarily agree with every political position, or many of the most recent positions that they had, but they have been on the front line on some issues. They've been on the front line, and against the police brutality issues, and against the neo-Nazi skinhead Klan that want to exterminate black people, for instance. So I'm just planting some seeds out here, for those that may not necessarily know my unique background, but also uh, just because I feel like I need to plant some seeds out here, and people can deal with the nuances, the variations of people views and opinions, or the differences later. But right now, it's going to be time for those that have various unique skills and training to put their foot forward with that training. And it's really unfortunate that you have individuals out here that have for quite some time attempt to discredit individuals like Malik Zulu Shabazz, who was on the radio yesterday, And he laid out some key things that, like you can't just be out here marching with people. You can't just, you need training, you need skills, you need an understanding of what you're actually going into. And none of these individuals out here, can match his street cred and his experience, but they have attempted to discredit him in the minds of a core number of our people, and he has been actually on the front lines against the neo-Nazi skinhead Klan at a variety of times. And so, and many of these individuals, for instance, I know, I mean, they just now starting to talk about growing their own food. Really? 2017, 2018, 2016, you just starting to talk about these issues? Really? But no, you conscious. You speak. You're a speaker, right? They don't understand nothing about growing their own food. They haven't been in any outdoor training, right? I mean, they haven't gone anywhere, to my knowledge. I know they haven't, um, to train in survival. So, I mean, what are you talking about? Stop playing. You're just giving a lecture, So, I have to let it be known, unfortunately, that we have people out here distracting us with, these different debates going on. You know, people that's now trying to talk about growing food, and they several months ago they still eating chicken, and they didn't know what an eggplant was. Like, really? How you gonna how you gonna come out how you gonna come out and say you didn't know what an eggplant is? Like, really? All this knowledge out here, you never thought to study agriculture. You never picked up a book about growing your own food. You never gone to any, of the green uh, events. You're so called black that you don't want to learn anything about being self sufficient, self determining. So I'm just saying, I don't know where these people actually, who they're teaching, or why people keep showing up to these different things. But, I just got to put it out there. Unfortunately, you know, particularly when these individuals attempt to discredit someone like Brother Malik Zulu Shabazz, who has probably one of the only ones that have experience, real on the ground experience. These people are nowhere to be found, Absolutely. These people are nowhere to be found over the past, 15, 20 years. So, I just don't know how much credibility these people should have within our community. So that's what I'm gonna say right now about that. But progress is being made. We gotta hold the line, continue to stay on the front line and continue to move forward. Right? We gotta educate our own children within our own cultural context. And no, we just don't need anybody educating our children. We don't need convicted felons, people that, not to say that anything wrong with people who made mistakes, but when people are out here committing these type of heinous uh, agent type of things against individuals within our community, because they're being predators, and that's one thing that we have to look at, individuals within our community that are robbing and stealing and committing terroristic activities within our own community. So, and I know that some people have wanted to say, well, how many people got killed in A, B, or C place, and I do understand that. It's a time and place to raise that issue, but I'm not going to diminish what what our sworn, those that live to strategize in terms of how to eliminate individuals from the planet. And so, with that being said, again, you got to watch these schools popping up, individuals, you know, they want to shark and snatch money from you when you need to be putting your money into books, into food, healthy herbs, clean water, things that you need for yourself, not just going to these lectures, getting another DVD, about the same nonsense, a long dissertation on Kaepernick and the numbers and the different numerology of Jay-Z's films. And, so some of these people can really spook you out, space you out. You'll be on another planet sometimes. So, you don't want to get too into some of these individuals and keep showing up to lecture after lecture. You got to build something. You have to own something. You have to produce something. And it's unfortunate that many of these individuals out here, unfortunately, do not have a well-rounded understanding, of the contemporary issues and the experience to know what to put forward, what's the priorities, and so and this is why for instance, I had I can refer back to some of my experiences, my background, some of the PE political education that I received, as well as the work that I've done with individuals like Brother Attorney Malik. So he understands both organizing as well as the legalities of keeping people legal. Some of these people out here, they don't have no, organizing cred. They not gonna get out here and organize and train, our people towards first, self-defense, direct action, as well as consciousness, economic nation building. And so, this is where, individuals like the Success Scholar are going to bring everything together in a priority. But, best believe you gotta create a level of awareness. You don't have to be out here debating, you know, everybody, little ignorant people. I don't spend much time. You gotta build something. You gotta build something for yourself, for your family. Continue to be healthy and continue to build strength, and so that you can understand the political dynamics of race, history, economics, politics in this society. And it's unfortunate that many of these people, you know, they're not necessarily organizing, on a sufficient level and creating the various levels of awareness that that need to happen, to ensure our survival. So again, now I know people gonna keep showing up just like zombies, and keep listening to these so-called conscious people that really don't necessarily have any qualitative and substantiated solutions. I know we do things by habit, and we think like poor people, and we don't want to show up. We don't want to connect ourselves to different individuals. But and I understand that you have some individuals who have achieved various levels of success economically, that that they don't believe, for instance, that situations can change in this country, and there could be a, a dis shall say a disabling uh, force, where we're not stable here in this country. And not to suggest that we, particularly persons of African descent, Black people, are in fact stable, but you know, I mean, when these individuals are strategizing, they're really attempting to destabilize the country. And so, if individuals that are in power are not looking at this destabilizing effect of this country, and how tensions and turmoil are being created, we have a responsibility to get ourselves ready and prepared for whatever eventually may transpire. So this would save your coins, invest in the right things. Don't go for any con sharks that's going to make you rich overnight. Wealth is a long-term process. Ownership, you know, recognizing your wants from your needs, as well as understanding the environment that you live in. You know, and this is where it becomes essential to position yourself for maximum success. So I say stay connected to the Success Scholar. We are on the move. My movement on the move. We had some phenomenal interviews over the past few weeks, but I know that the so-called conscious people, they're not particularly the most conscious, but for those that are wise enough to see progress and the strategies that the Success Scholar movement is building, I say stay connected. All right, I'll let the Success Scholar. I'm out.